Hello and welcome to the Infinity Bros podcast, the only podcast that is perfectly balanced, as all things should be. As you can tell, I am not Max. I'm not Isaac. Lord knows you guys are jonesing for those dulcet tones of Isaac Edlin. But nope, it's me, Jarrett the Infinity Bear, back again. Joining me today is a familiar face, a longtime familiar face, and a brand new face to this podcast. Let's start with the man, the myth, the legend himself, Robbie. Robbie, how you doing, buddy?
Doing great. Happy to be on here tonight. My mother-in-law's in town, so I'm kind of happy that I got away from having to entertain her for the night. Happy.
Okay, then.
Wow. Notice how I said that very quietly, just in case she's outside
my
the door.
man came out here guns a-blazing. All right. We'll see.
You haven't even introduced me yet, but I gotta talk.
Weird energy already, but let's go. A very old but familiar voice, has almost as many appearances on this podcast as Zane Ellis. You've heard him before, and you're hearing him now. Mike, how you doing, buddy?
Wait, so Zane's only been on the podcast twice? Because this is my second
that
time,
way, right? Robbie, what do you think? Something like that.
The number is probably higher, but the number of times people remember it is probably lower.
Yeah. Two feels right.
Jared, I'm doing well. Thank you for having me on. I'm really excited to chat MCU with you guys and other things. So,
and we have a friend of the podcast, but one who hasn't been on yet. Cicero, how you doing, man?
Mama, I made it. I'm here now. I have arrived. Listen, if this is the last thing I ever do,
Die happy, man. Yeah,
this will be the first thing that is on my epitaph.
You're saying that you don't want to hang on until you get to see Morbius? Like, come on.
Well, I mean, I would love to, but if I don't, then all things have been accomplished.
I don't think
that'll probably be what kills you. All right.
I just want to say that Robbie came in guns a-blazing, but then he put the potatoes on top of them. And we talked about who was in his house. So well done. Yeah. Well done, sir. Well done, sir.
You gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta find a way to get out of that.
The thing I'd say is, man, you're gonna be in so much trouble when your wife listens to this.
Oh, absolutely.
But as a person who's been podcasting for 9 years and had a significant other throughout that entire time, I know that she won't be listening.
That's the thing. She's never listened to a single podcast.
Everything is
Not
okay.
One.
Everything is okay. She is very happy that you are doing the thing. She fully supports everything that you're doing. She has no idea what's happening.
I'm not going to bury the lead here, but I will pivot a little bit. Mike and Cicero, obviously we know where to find you guys, but if we have listeners tuning in for the first time, or maybe they haven't been around long enough to hear Mike's first appearance, who are you guys and what's your connection to us?
Yeah, so I met you guys through the interwebs, through tweeters. Basically, I was back when I was streaming on Twitch. We kind of met, and so then I decided to quit streaming and start a podcasting network called The 90s First. And so that's Isaac, Infinity Bro Isaac was on the very first episode of that, reviewing the Batman animated series, the very first episode of that show. And so it's kind of spawned. I had this idea to start a video game debate show called The 90s First Take as a play on ESPN First Take. So that's when I was like, Cicero had already been on an episode of The 90s First reviewing some Star Trek stuff. And I was like, Cicero, I got to have you on this 90s First Take show. You got to be my Stephen A. to me, Max Kellerman,
Ludicrous.
And Cicero was like, you know what, I'm just going to jump on board. And super grateful that he did. And yeah, Cicero, you want to take it away? We changed our name. So,
we changed our name to the name of the segment, the thing that people were coming to see. Right. And that is Test Your Might. And, immediate nod to the Mortal Kombat and that's what we're engaged in.
Yep.
Mortal nonsense video game combat.
Life or death stuff, really. Yeah.
Absolutely. No continues.
Test Your Might is never perfectly balanced. We're always always on the edge of death.
We say perfectly balanced. I have no idea what that means in the context of this podcast. We're the most like biased, like tilted people.
You have no idea how many times I like question what that even means.
Yeah,
because like we go perfectly balanced,
cool.
but then there's 4 guys that are 100% Marvel, and there's 2 guys that are mostly DC.
Yeah,
but even like us who are the DC guys are like, well, we really like Marvel too. Like, it's not perfectly balanced at all.
WB's in a rough place right now. Yeah, I gotcha. So this is, for the fans listening at home, this is actually the second part of a 2-part crossover. If you want to hear Isaac holding his own on Test Your Might, go ahead and check that out. Link will be in the description. We invited these guys on to sort of reciprocate that. Now, we have never done anything like this on our podcast, but we thought it would be cool to do this crossover.
Not on purpose.
Yeah. Max and Mark do this all the time, but it is more by accident than an actual segment.
Are you a heel or a baby face? If you could make any flavor Cheez-It, what would it be? Is it pronounced Grogu or Groku? If Keanu Reeves isn't in the movie, can it be star-studded? It's time for the Infinity Gauntlet, here on the Infinity Bros podcast.
Cicero.
Yes.
You have not been on this podcast before, which
I have
means
not.
You've never had to survive the Infinity Gauntlet.
Oh.
Do you know what the Infinity Gauntlet is?
I mean, I know what an Infinity Gauntlet is.
For you and for the folks at home, the Infinity Gauntlet is a way for us to test you to see if you can survive and hang on our show.
Okay.
We hope you survive the experience. Most do not.
I'm not feeling so well, Mr. Stark.
All right. Hang in there, my man. First question in our Infinity Gauntlet comes at you from none other than longtime guest of the show, Zane. Zane says, Zane is a wild card. I don't know if you know this. His questions are always...
An enigma.
Right. Yeah, something else. Yeah. He says, if you could eliminate one color from the world entirely, what color would you remove and why?
Fuchsia.
Okay.
Because no one really knows what it is.
Okay, good. I was going to say, I don't know what color that is. I think it's like a purple.
Right. So
it's like a purplish red, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
I work in clothing, so I know what fuchsia is.
Right.
Wow.
Well, it's not only do I not know what that color is, and I don't really know how to spell it. So eliminate it. Get it out of here.
Mike, could you just spell fuchsia for us right now?
Fuchsia. I believe.
You can keep going, and I would just keep on reading it. Right? Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, sure.
I totally thought you were going to spell out FU, and I was like,
wow, I actually got it right. I actually got it right, so...
I thought you were about to like just tell.
We gave you the layup just to be like, F you, leave me alone.
That took me places. I was not ready for that.
Oh, man.
All right, Robbie, do you have an Infinity Gauntlet question for Cicero here?
You know what? I didn't have one like on the docket because I totally spaced it today with the mother-in-law in town. But I do have one now.
You got to stop it, Robbie.
Hey, bring her in, have her ask the question.
We were busy. We went to the Museum of Science here in Minneapolis. Okay. I'm looking around at my Funko Pops, and that's how I've decided this question. Who wins in a fight? Captain America versus Master Chief?
And why?
And why? Explain your answer. Explain your answer.
Which Captain America?
We're talking Steve Rogers. We'll talk MCU Steve
Rogers. All right, so then I'm gonna go Steve Rogers because he can do this all day. He can do this all day.
Oh, that's it, guys. We have to stop the podcast now. We have copyright infringement.
That was too on point. We're done.
Legally,
I'm surprised you went Captain America. I'll be honest. I feel like the regeneration. He has guns for one, and grenades, and regenerating shield.
Right. I think there's a level of ingenuity that Steve Rogers has that supersedes the Mjolnir armor, and that I think that once Steve realizes, I can't beat the armor, I've got to get him out of it, he'll figure a way to get him out of the armor, or at least attack the armor in a way where he can, like, you know, hit the data port where Cortana is or something like that.
Banking on Steve Rogers'
Master
like
Chief
tactics and abilities. I can vibe with that. I can vibe with
Yes.
So
I
we're going with
disagree.
the TV. We're going with the TV show version of Master Chief.
Yeah, if we're going with the TV show version, like we're going to talk about that. I'm pretty hot about that, but
All right. Max says this. If you had a chance for either a guaranteed shot at $1 million, like in your pocket right now, you just had $1 million, or flip a coin for $1 billion. If you lose, you get nothing. Which do you go for?
So guaranteed $1 million tax free, or at
I would
He
assume
doesn't specify. Yeah, let's say $1 million tax free.
million tax free, or so that's so just for those people that are paying attention and listening, that's about 1.48 million in cash, and then, you know, you can give the taxes to the government. So let's see, or a 50-50 chance on $1 billion
with a B, a billion.
A cool bill.
not taxed. Let it ride, man. Let's flip the coin.
You get to keep the coin if you don't get it.
Yeah, all right, cool. So at least
But the coin's a penny.
whatever. You know what? Let it ride. Let it ride. Let's get the shot. Like, if I'm no worse than I am right now
Yeah.
with the chance to,
Except
like,
you have to live with the crippling regret that you almost had $1 billion.
Or $1 million, or just $1 million.
Yeah, or
right,
just
or
$1
$1 million,
yeah.
right? Like, yeah.
Max would appreciate that answer though, because Max is a gambling man.
Max
Yeah.
is a high roller for sure.
Yeah.
He's also 1%er, so like that tracks.
Right. Let it ride. Let it ride.
Mark says, if you formed a band, what genre of music are you in? What's the name of the group and name of the first album? Wow, Mark is really going all in on this, huh?
Wow. Okay. So if I form a band, what kind of band would it be? If I formed a band, it would be a jug band. 100%.
All right.
100% it would be a jug band.
Yeah.
We would be a neo soul jug band. That is that's called Jugs Full of Honey. And our first album, the title would be,
Is Mike your spoons guy?
Oh yeah, Mike. Yeah, 100%. Mike's my spoons guy.
Yeah.
Can
I name the album?
I would not be on the jug though.
Sure.
I would be on the washboard.
Right.
I would be the washboard guy. So go ahead. You want to name our first album? Go ahead.
Yeah.
please.
So if we're Jugs of Honey,
Right.
the first album obviously has to be Winnie the Pooh and Friends.
or 100 Acre Wood.
Oh yeah.
100 Acre.
Get on that Kenny Loggins action? Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
100 Acre Wood.
I'd listen to
Okay.
that.
Sounds good.
Yeah, the
Down for
neo
that.
soul jug band.
I wouldn't.
At no point from start to finish of that answer did I know where you were going to go next.
Yes.
was
Yeah, there we go.
It was a ride.
And
That's the point.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why you tune in to Test Your Mind every week.
I love that.
Selfless plug. Plug.
Isaac tosses you this one. I think you might like this one. He
right.
says, if you were tasked with turning a video game franchise into a successful TV show, what franchise would you choose and why?
If I was tasked with taking a successful video game franchise,
Turn it into a TV show. You could give us a good Halo series.
Oh,
wow.
can we wait?
Sorry, I jumped the gun a little bit on that one.
Can we wait?
Man,
It's
listen,
been
that's
one
you know what,
episode,
look,
guys.
right, exactly.
We'll get into it. I'm sorry.
Right,
I had
we gotta hold on
Go
to
ahead,
that.
sister.
To not take a successful video
Okay.
game franchise and
He's
turn
pivoting.
it into a video game and turn it into a great television show.
I like that.
There was a game made by EA, Electronic Arts, that came out a couple of years ago called Anthem. And
Wow.
this game it was like
The hype.
kind of post-apocalyptic world, and it had you flying around in like these different versions of Iron Man
Their mech suits and yeah.
mech suits, and like the sensation of flying was the best Iron Man simulation that anyone's ever had, but the rest of the game was trash, right? It just
Stone
was
unplayable,
not
yeah.
right. Yeah, it just was not what they had promised. It wasn't what they had envisioned, and there were lots of things that were left unsaid that really kind of didn't give the players the agency that they needed to in order to make that game work, and there just wasn't enough of the game itself to make it viable for a long period of time. But the bones of that game and that world were rich and colorful and something that was worth exploring. And if we could have gotten a story, like if we could have gotten the nonsense story bits that they gave and like the cut scenes that they presented just as like stills, if we could have gotten those as action sequences in live action, that would have been a great series, I think.
Sure. I'm with you.
That show or that game was so hyped.
Oh yeah.
Like I was excited for that, and then like it came out and the hype died instantly.
Mm-hmm.
They did the same thing as like No Man's Sky, Cyberpunk, right? But the thing is like No Man's Sky, they were able to pull it out of the fire and fix it. Cyberpunk, to some degree, it sounds like did that as well. Anthem, I don't know. I mean, I know they were working on it. I know they did not give up on the project, but it's somewhere along the line, it just fell apart. Like they couldn't.
Well, actually, they did give up on it. They
literally did.
They did.
Yeah, they had
Wow.
they had a complete expansion set to go, and they just like we're just not releasing it.
Right.
So
That's wild.
So the difference between the three games that you mentioned, and you're correct about your assessment of all three games. The difference is the two where they were able to actually kind of pull them out of the fire and kind of resurrect their reputations were smaller development houses where that was the game that the entire company was working on. Whereas Anthem was one game of dozens that EA was working on. And it was just such a machine.
it was all BioWare, so it was one game of three. So Mass Effect and then Dragon Age. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To us.
Yeah.
Versus these other two where the game is our life. That's our legacy, right? So we want to make our legacy good so that we can get to the point where we can just give up on games because we're making so much money on other stuff.
I'm starting a new podcast. So sayonara to all the Infinity Bros. It's just going to be me and Cicero talking about video games for an hour and a half. You heard it here first.
No, you can't steal him away from me. Sorry. Need him for
Me and Mark
testimony.
are already starting our own podcast too. So
I'm going to schmooze it.
Dark
Like
Side
wine,
Boys.
I'm going to send you a bottle of wine. I don't know. I don't know how people do these things. Corporate espionage. All right. My final question in the Infinity Gauntlet for you is, you can take a celebrity, alive or past or fictional, out to dinner. Who do you take out to dinner and why?
Oh, what celebrity do I take out to dinner and why? You know what? I am going to be the most selfish I can possibly be in this particular moment.
as you should.
I am going to take out Eartha Kitt.
Okay.
Eartha Kitt, the one of the original Catwomen.
Yeah.
From 66 Batman.
Right.
Reason being is she's related to me. She's one of my cousins.
Really?
So yes. So I would love to be able to sit down with not only someone whom I admire as a creator and as an actor, as an artist, but someone who is one of my ancestors. So yeah, so that's gonna be my answer.
That's awesome.
Wow, that's a very good answer. I like that.
Yeah. Sorry, it wasn't wacky.
No, I was going to crack a joke about
How dare you not be funny?
topical too, right? Like we've been talking about Batman quite a bit and Catwoman.
Yeah,
Obviously, the internet is a buzz over Zoe Kravitz's Catwoman, and so people have been paying respects to the OG, and so topical, timely, like it's great. I was going to make a joke about how the answer we were looking for is you take Robbie out to dinner, but my joke is not as cool as your actual story. So
no, it's a terrible joke. If you said that now, like we'd shun you.
Right.
It's terrible.
Good thing I didn't say that on air. Yeah.
Well, welcome to the Infinity Bros podcast.
Yeah, definitely survived. Hey, welcome to the Infinity Bros, the only podcast that perfectly balances all things should be. I can't even talk right now.
Clip it.
You did fantastic in the Infinity Gauntlet, so we're going to go ahead and bring you into the inner circle and pivot on over to our Halo review. If you guys haven't checked it out yet, Halo is now streaming on Paramount Plus.
Yeah, sure it is.
It's an adaptation for Paramount Plus. Halo will take place in the universe that came to be in 2001. This is from their website. With the launch of Xbox's first Halo game, dramatizing the epic 26th century conflict between humanity and the alien threat known as the Covenant. The Halo series will weave deeply drawn personal stories with action, adventure, richly imagined vision of the future. I'm sure we're excited to see that eventually. Who knows when? The series stars Pablo Schreiber of American Gods as Master Chief, Spartan 117, John as we know him, Natasha L. McElhone from Californication as Dr. Halsey, the brilliant and conflicted, inscrutable creator of the Spartan Super Soldiers, and a bunch of other people. I can spend 5 minutes listing them all, but you can go check it out on the website. First episode of the series is up. These are hour-long episodes. Have all of us gotten a chance to see this?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's start with one of our biggest Halo fans on the podcast. Robbie, what did you think of this coming into it?
I love Halo. There were some things in this episode that I absolutely adored. I loved, like, they did some really good stuff. Like, for a show, they did some really good stuff with Master Chief, with the gunplay, with all of that. They did some really, really good things. Going into the show, you have to understand that they are taking massive liberties with Master Chief, with the Halo verse. And with that said, and we rank things out of 6. I don't know if we need to plug it, but
yeah, we are potentially gonna go into some spoilers, so we'll put that bumper right here.
This is
Prepare yourself.
an Infinity Bros.
Prepare yourself.
Spoiler warning.
And if you're, I'm gonna do the bumpers real quick, okay? Max, cut this out for me, buddy. And if you're listening in for the first time and you haven't heard our ranking series and how we rank things here on the Infinity Bros, we will put that right here.
Here on the Infinity Bros podcast, everything is ranked from a 0 to 6 point scale. 0 meaning horrible and 6 meaning absolutely excellent. If all of the Infinity Bros rank something a 6, it gets an Infinity Step. Okay.
Robbie, so you were saying your hype for this coming into it was what?
my hype was a 6 coming in. Even with like the news that they like the showrunner, the director was like, no, I've never played Halo. I haven't read anything Halo. I don't care kind of thing. Even with that, I was a 6.
Also, by the way, that was taken extremely out of context.
I'm sure it was.
Like, extremely.
Everything is. But even with, like, hearing just the out of context, like, I didn't care. I was like, I'm sure, like, like what you just said. Like, I'm sure it's out of context. I'm sure knows, like, you can't just make a show about a character in a world and not know anything about it. That doesn't make any sense. So I was still a 6. I was happy. Like, the trailers were incredible. Like, incredible trailers. Some of the best trailers for a TV show that I think I've ever seen or reviewed. And then some things happened in the show that I just didn't like. I didn't like how they like made it look like gameplay when you like went into their helmet.
Sure.
Like, I didn't need to see that. I know what that looks like. I've played enough Halo to know exactly where everything is and how it looks and all that. I like how they added all the sounds in. Like, you could have added those sounds in without like showing us the in-helmet view. I think some of the prop guns looked really bad. Like, they legit look like someone with a 3D printer printed them off and then like handed them to them and like, but didn't do a very good job.
Sure.
Like a pretty cheap 3D printer printed them off and glued them together and handed them to him. At the end of this, at the end of the episode, I don't want to get into the end yet because I feel like that's its own discussion.
We'll build into that. So
I think it was this. If this was on Sci-Fi, I'm sure we're all aware of the Sci-Fi TV
channel. Yeah,
this would have been a really good Sci-Fi TV channel episode.
I get what you're saying. Absolutely.
Does that make sense? Because like those are pretty crappy.
They're a little low budget,
they try really hard, but they're low budget.
Yeah,
that's unfortunately what this started to feel like a little bit, and it has me worried. So I gave the first episode a 3 out of 6. I really hope that dang helmet stays on way more than it came off at the end.
Sure. Okay.
I'm gonna leave it at that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave it at that.
I have a feeling I know what Mike's gonna say. And so I'm gonna pivot to Cicero
right.
so we can get Mike to bounce off here a little bit.
So I only watched it once, and after I was done watching it, and I guess a little about me. I've played every Halo from inception. I love the game, love the series. But after I was done with the first episode, I sat there for a second and I said, "Man, people who love playing Halo are really gonna hate this episode. Are really gonna hate this show." I loved it. I loved the show. I thought it was fantastic. I watched the like post show thing that they did, the propaganda show afterwards, and I think the one big piece that came out of that was very informative. That I think that if people that really kind of aren't on board with it look at, like, this is in the Halo universe, but it's a Halo multiverse, right? And this is an alternate history for Master Chief and the Covenant. And so what that does is that gives this series the creative freedom to kind of do things a little bit different from what we know the Halo story to be.
So,
right?
So not to put words in your
Chief.
mouth, but you're almost saying like, hey, nerds, divorce it from what you know, from what you understand, and just enjoy it for Halo, more or less.
We know that nerds can't do that.
Yeah.
Right. More or less. Right. But you know what? And so the thing is, as a nerd that's older than you guys, like eventually you get there, right? Like eventually, like if you, because there are people that are my age and older who still haven't gotten there. Right. But like, if you get to a point where you're like, oh, wait a minute, you know what? This stuff is make believe and it's made for my enjoyment. Let me see if I can find the joy out of this first. And if I can't find the joy out of it, then then let's burn it all down to the ground. But let me at least try and find the joy out of it, out of make believe, right? And not, as long as it's not like crazy anachronistic, then canon is canon for the thing that you know, right? But then, right, especially here we are. The funny thing that for me is comic book fans are the best and the worst at this, right? Like we sit around and we buy issues and issues and issues of our favorite comics, right? And how many times has your favorite comic series been rebooted? Right? And every single time that origin story is told, it's told slightly different from the time before it. And you'll read it and you'll say, you know what? I kind of like that one, the old one better. than this one, right? And you always say that, right? I kind of like the old origin story better. I don't like what they changed in this one. You always say that. But then 6 issues later, you forget about it. Like it doesn't even matter anymore, right? You're just kind of along for the ride because you love the character and you love what's going on. So you just kind of let them tell this story. You can't change it. It's there now, right? So like if you don't like it, you can not watch it, but I'm going to keep watching it.
I like that. That's a good perspective. So I'm going to get to you in a second, Mike, because I think you have a good maybe counterpoint to the things I'm about to say. So I agree with you, Cicero. I like the direction. I like some of the story. I am very seeped in the lore. I read all the books. I thought it was fantastic. I had a hard time stomaching this one, and part of it is sort of the storyline, but also like I think I've seen people do a lot more with a lot less. So what I like to compare things to is like, go on YouTube right now. There's a one-man team out of Germany or whatever that's a Warhammer fan, and he did this series called The Stardays.
Yeah.
I'll drop the link in chat or whatever. If a dude just for fun can make this in chat, sorry, in our show notes down below.
In the show notes, yeah.
If one man can make something of this quality with no budget whatsoever, how come Paramount Plus can't do this level of thing? And like, I get what you're saying. I'm going to give this a pass. I'm going to keep watching it. But to the point that Robbie was making, like some of this looked like really, really low budget cosplay, which is fine if you're at a convention. That's awesome. I love seeing that stuff. But if you're a wealthy company like Paramount Plus, kind of unforgivable in my book. I like the series. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry, I just want to make this point, right? So we're gonna lay this at the feet of Paramount Plus, but that's not really, it's not 100% true. And I kind of laughed at this as the show was starting, right? So this is a game series that was made by Bungie, that was owned by Microsoft, that is owned by Microsoft, that was produced by Showtime and funded by Steven Spielberg, and is distributed on Paramount Plus.
In association with 343.
Right. Yes. Right.
I almost think that's worse, though. Like, I almost think that made it worse.
That's so many hands that touch this thing. And
many hands. And then Steven Spielberg is touching this.
Yeah.
If Spielberg's...
In its defense, though, like, it touched that many hands, and at least it came out, right? Yeah, at least we have a series to go into. I agree with a lot of your guys' points. I disagree slightly with the budget. I thought that some of the set pieces and some of the CGI, especially the Covenant, the elites, looked amazing. The elites looked powerful. They looked brutal. Let me start with a couple likes. I love the brutality of the show. Absolutely love it, because
was not expecting that at all.
Not expecting it, but I think we need it. I think Halo has been a T-rated game for such a long time.
It's an M-rated game, actually.
Oh yeah, M-rated game for such a long time,
with no violence in it,
and it's not violent. And so I think, especially with a super soldier as such Master Chief, like it needed to be violent, and so I love that. Again, I love the set pieces. I think that some of the CGI worked really amazing. That opening scene, that opening 18 minutes was just an awesome way to open it. But then it got very drama heavy. It almost went into this is gonna sound like a diss, but it almost went into the CW route where it just kind of
you can't say that and it not sound like that, not be a diss. That's a diss.
So just slightly, because the reason why I say this is because I like some of the CW shows, and I think there's merit in laurels for having those types of shows. But regardless,
teenage angst and bad CGI is Mike's thing.
So I think I'm kind of in the middle. I don't think I loved it because I had some issues with it, but I think that what really stands out about this first episode is that it's a great foundation for what is to come. I said this on our podcast. We did a review of it, so check out the 90s First if you guys like. Shameless plug, haha.
Nothing you can do about it, Max. It's in there now.
I said that like kind of like, and you guys love Star Wars too, so I'm gonna bring it up. Kind of like The Mandalorian. The first episode of The Mandalorian wasn't all that we wanted it to be. And then eventually the series was all that we wanted it to be.
Yeah, that's fair.
And so I think that's where Halo is going to come in. This is a fantastic foundation. Robbie, I know you're itching to talk about the demasking, and so am I. So go ahead, you start.
Well, I mean, here, we'll throw it back to Mandalorian. At least in the first episode, he kept his helmet on.
My fear is that this isn't going to be Mandalorian. It's going to be Boba Fett.
I haven't seen Boba Fett yet, so.
Oh, no.
You only need to watch 2 episodes, and they're Mandalorian
Yeah, you're good.
episodes.
Right. I think you can watch the entire series, but I do understand exactly what you're saying, and I also, so on our show we debated whether or not Chief should have his helmet on or keep it off, or take it off, and I argued that he should keep it on. Right, like that's part of the mystique is this, just like the Mandalorian, right? Like it could be anybody
Exactly.
under that, right? And it doesn't matter, right? Like, and the whole point of Master Chief when you're playing Halo is that you're Master Chief, right? Like you're living that story, so it doesn't matter what's under that helmet. What's under that helmet is what you see in the mirror every day. And if at some point I wind up seeing something other than my reflection in the mirror, then it stops being me playing Master Chief. It's just me controlling Master Chief playing a game.
Well, and that's always been my thing with other video games that don't let you like design your character, and then they just pick someone for you. Like I had a struggle with this for The Witcher for the longest time, where it's like I want to pick who I want to be. I eventually learned to love Geralt and be The Witcher, but like at the start of it, I was like, I don't get to choose what I look like. I never had that issue with Master Chief because I'm him. I'm in the helmet.
Right.
That's me.
Right. Yeah.
What do you think about this voice? Was this jarring for you, Robbie?
The voice didn't bother me. The biggest issue I have is once the helmet came off, he stopped acting like Master Chief.
Yeah.
He acted completely different. He reacted like with emotion, extreme emotion for a guy who was just cool, calm, and collected. And he responded in a way that you would expect like an actor who was trying to express like emotions would. He didn't respond how Master Chief did. If he took off his helmet and was still like the stone cold killer Master Chief, I probably would have been okay. Because I am giving this a chance. I'm going to watch the entire season. Like nothing is going to make me take away from this. But as soon as he took it off, I was like, oh, I kind of knew they were going to do that because I think there was a report that came out that they were going to. I didn't think it was going to be the first episode, which also threw me off. I thought that was going to be like end of the season. He takes his helmet off to reveal who he is to like help somebody kind of thing. But
give somebody mouth to mouth. Right?
Maybe, I don't know. Hey, they can do what they want. Paramount Plus. It was how much he changed his personality once the helmet came off. It completely took me out of it. I was like, the Master Chief 5 minutes ago wouldn't have acted like that. And that's what bothered me.
I mean, it was kind of written in the episode though that he's starting to become more aware of his past.
Right. I think that a couple of things happen in the episode that would give the actor the creative freedom to show that level of emotion. So the first is he touches the stupid crystal down on the planet on Madrigal, right? And he starts having like these flashbacks of things he never knew before or whatever, right? Then he's like in the thing, he's talking to this girl, and she's telling him a version of a story that he knew a version of, right? And he went in as a conquering hero, and she saw him as a demon in the same way that as the Covenant did. And when they had the facts of the story, for the large bullet points of that story correct, as they're having that, as they were telling the story, but the details, right, the perspectives of it were very different. And what he realized in that moment was that he had no reason not to believe the assessment of this girl whom he just met versus the organization that he's known for the entirety of his existence, right? Whatever his life has been as John 117, right? But like he knew right then and there, like, oh, maybe they did lie to me, because why would she lie to me about what these people were at that particular moment? And then the next thing that happens is he gets a kill order for her, and he knows she's not a threat. He knows she's not a threat, right? And in fact, she in a short period of time has become an ally to him, right? As someone who is outside of the structure that he can just have a conversation with.
And all of those emotions were conveyed with the helmet on.
Yes.
Like, that's the thing I would argue. Like, I can tell that he's going through those thoughts and emotions without seeing his face, which would be
I
my...
don't disagree. I don't disagree.
Well, and that's the thing with the helmet, is that for me, it is okay for me if he takes it off. I don't mind that. That's not what I don't mind. What I do mind is that what the Halo games did is they created Master Chief as a empathetic, loving, caring human without seeing his face and in the suit. And that's what they could do for this show. My biggest problem with the helmet taking off was the longevity. He took it out. He took it off 10 minutes before the episode was done, and he had it off for that entire time. I just hope that they don't think that needs to be the source of Chief's emotion and Chief's stuff like that. So
1,000,000,000% on the same pack with you. It was like the whole time, like, after, reveals the helmet, takes, like, shows the lady his face or whatever. It's like, we're good. And then just leaves it off the whole time. Like, I'm completely taken out of the episode because I'm just like, put the helmet back on. Put the helmet back on. There's people with guns. You can't track anything because you just have your eyes now. Put the helmet on.
Exactly, because he is in a situation where the helmet would somewhat be necessary, like would help his situation. I mean, he's about to fly something.
You know how they could have fixed that entire thing? They could have been like, they turned off me being able to see through my helmet. Like, that's all they had to do. Like, just to fix that in general, they could have just been like,
give a reason for it.
UNSC turned it off. I can't see through it. Can't see peripherals. Like, I have to take this off now.
Or even if they took the creative license to maybe change what his visor does. Maybe he has a retractable visor and he could show his eyes to the person.
Oh,
something like that.
All in.
Something like that. I don't care that it in particular comes off. What I do care is if they lean on that throughout the show. Like, he can be just as emotional, just as empathetic, just as human with the helmet on throughout the whole show.
Mandalorian's been doing it, and they've been doing it fantastically, right?
Yeah.
And when Pedro Pascal took off his helmet, every single time it was intentional. There was a reason for it, and it furthered the plot. Like, this does nothing for us.
And he puts it back on.
Paramount, just hire us. We'll fix your whole series.
But in counterpoint to that, it meant nothing to us. But that's because, one, as Cicero said, we're nerds and we love Halo.
Sure.
And two, it meant something to Quan in that moment. She's looking at a visor. She's looking at a helmet, and she thinks that these super soldiers are robots. That's what's written into the lore. And also, you're a lore guy there, Jared. Master Chief takes his helmet off in the books all the time.
Yeah, it's true.
And so there is a precedence for it. Anyway, I know you do it out of 6. 4.5 out of 6 from me.
Cicero, what about you, bud?
I'm going to give it a 5 out of 6. I really, really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to where the ride's going to take us. I think that's where I'll end, but there's a chance for the ride to get worse.
Yeah.
And a small chance for the ride to get better.
Robbie, what do we got?
I gave it a 3. I gave it a 3 at the beginning. I'm staying on board. Like, I'm gonna watch it because it's still Master Chief, and like if the story picks up, then I'll be all in. Like, I like where the story's going, but like just like we were saying, like the helmet can come off when it's intentional and when it means something, but then when the length gets to be like I'm keeping it off for no reason, it doesn't make sense to me. And like Mike said, I feel like that's like they thought they needed to do it. And I feel like we're going to see a lot of his face throughout this series, and that makes me very worried. That makes me extremely worried for this show, and it makes me worried on if I'm going to like it, because I really want to like it.
One final thing. Sorry, I know you want to move on, Jared, but Pablo completely shattered any like reservations that I had, in my opinion, when the helmet is on. Like, I don't need Steve Downs. Like, I think Pablo did a fantastic job with his voice and his inflection to create the Chief, you know? So
it's a little weird not hearing that. Yeah, it's a little weird, but not so much that it divorces you from the scene. I still think he's a phenomenal actor and did a great job. So no complaints there. I gave it a 4 out of 6. I'm cautious, but very optimistic. I love Halo. Like Robbie said, I'm still going to watch the whole thing. So probably what you've tuned in for, if you're a fan of both of these series, we are going to pivot into our very own Test Your Might. Originally, we had Robbie and Max, touching gloves against
Mark and Max.
Or sorry, Mark and Max touching gloves against you two. But both of them got sidetracked. So we pulled Robbie out of retirement, our ace in the hole.
retirement.
So the way we're going to do this is not 2v1, because although Robbie, I think, could handle his own, we're going to do 1v1v1. So I'm going to pitch these off to you guys. Let's start with Cicero first for this one. Who besides Cap is most worthy to carry Mjolnir?
Who besides Cap is most worthy to carry Mjolnir?
Is this only MCU? Sorry, I don't want.
Oh yeah,
I need to know the rules here.
Yeah, is this only? This is only MCU.
Only MCU. We're dealing with just MCU, not comics.
Okay.
MCU.
I was not prepared for this, because in the outline Isaac gave me, it says Team Cap versus Team Iron Man.
Yeah, this is not in the outline.
Right.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Listen, you got to be able to think on your feet.
Yeah,
Right?
usually I host Test Your Might,
Which I can. Stop with the excuses, Mike. Yeah, stop with the excuses, man. You just got to be ready for it. So if
I've beaten you enough times. Just get ready.
Here
we go.
Well, you're not going to beat this answer, because the answer is Peter Parker, definitively.
Okay. Which Peter?
Oh my goodness.
Well,
or all of them.
Wow, spoilers.
Are you talking? You said MCU.
God,
MCU?
spoilers.
There's 3 in the MCU now.
MCU Peter.
Spoilers,
Right?
I guess.
MCU Peter. That's true.
Canon.
Yeah. No. I think I'm gonna go with. Spider-Man 1. Spider-Man number 1 is. No. Spider-Man 1 is
oh, that's right.
Is Tom Holland.
Right, you're right. Spider-Man 3 is I can't remember.
No,
Spider-Man 3 is Andrew Garfield.
Andrew. Okay.
Yeah, Spider-Man 3 is Andrew Garfield. Spider-Man
that
2
movie's so good. Can we just talk about Spider-Man No Way Home again?
Yeah. So Spider-Man 1, Peter Parker is clearly
That's gonna be hard to beat. All right.
Clearly the one who's worthy.
I like that. Robbie.
I'm looking at my Funko Pops because I have the OG 6 here, and because I have the original OG like camera shot panoramic view of them, that they made into Funko Pops, and I'm looking at them, and none of them are the answer.
Okay.
But one of them is half the answer.
Okay.
I made this a riddle. Bruce Banner is worthy.
Okay.
The Hulk is not, but Bruce Banner is worthy to pick up Mjolnir.
Interesting. Okay.
I think
like that.
I think Bruce is willing. It has a pure heart and is willing to do the right thing. And I think he is worthy to pick up Mjolnir.
Okay.
I don't know about the Hulk, but
who do you got?
Bruce is.
This might come out of left field just slightly, because this person's past certainly does not speak to the hope, the heart, the might that you need to wield Mjolnir. But I think this person's, I'll say present, because we're not too far removed from this movie, creates this version of this character that really, really shows the sacrifice, the willingness, and the courage to be worthy of carrying that hammer. And that's Black Widow.
Interesting. I like these picks. All right, Cicero, we're going to kick it back to you. Why is Peter more worthy than Black Widow and Bruce Banner?
Because he's the purist, right? Like, he is the one that understands the everyman in a way that none of the other ones do. He has sacrificed. Right now, I know Black Widow sacrificed herself, but Black Widow's sacrifice was not as much as a sacrifice as it was a repayment of a penance. And so and it can serve two masters. But Peter he's just a great guy who just in all aspects of his life tries to do the right thing for the most people, in a way that even Bruce Banner has not, right? Because so, like, if we look at MCU, Bruce Banner is a brilliant scientist and, all around pretty decent dude. But he's experimented on things that probably he shouldn't have experimented on. And he's done some things that he probably isn't necessarily too proud of, right? Like, you can have that same intellect, right? Or at least a similar enough intellect in Peter Parker with the ethics and the morality to know, like, oh, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't experiment on animals in these ways, because they're sentient beings too.
Robbie, what do you got to add to this?
I just gotta, like, we're talking about the Peter Parker that, like, was super selfish enough to, like, want everyone to forget, and then, like, because they couldn't get into college. Is that the same Peter Parker?
Right. But it wasn't for him. It was for his friends.
The same Peter Parker that was super forgetful, friends. Just to, like, call the college and be like, oh, hey, can we like talk about this? It
wasn't forgetful. It was naivety. It was naivety.
Naive is fine if you're 7 and not a super genius. Not as forgivable when you're 18 and the next Tony Stark. That would be his
belief was that he saw the problem in front of him as people knowing that he was Spider-Man being a problem. So let's remove that. Not arguing, even though somebody knows that I'm Spider-Man, don't ignore that and help my friends.
All right, Mike.
So he was completely cleared. Right, he was completely clear to being of, like, any wrongdoing.
Yeah, he's worthy.
He is completely clear. Like, he didn't do anything wrong. We knew that.
Let's pivot, Mike. What do you got for us?
Do I get to say why Bruce Banner was better? I don't know how this works.
Yeah, I'm just bouncing around a little bit.
Okay, go ahead. Bounce around. I'm learning.
No, you're good. Have you debated before? It's all good. First of all, he's never debated, so Hulk is not, or Bruce Banner, sorry, is not. And no, I'm just kidding. You use the word purist, and I think that's just maybe noble should have been the better word choice, because I'm going to use your words against you. First of all, Thor is literally the wielder of Mjolnir, and he is drunk off his butt in Endgame, fat. Is he really pure? He's also not the best source of character and stuff within most of the MCU. And then also, Peter, I believe it or not, at the end of Spider-Man No Way Home, he literally was about to kill Green Goblin, and he needed the other Peters.
He needed Peter. He just needed himself.
He needed the other Peters, Spidey 2 and Spidey 3,
the real Peter,
to stop him. I don't know if purist is the best argument that you got there, and I understand that you're saying Bruce Banner could wield Mjolnir, but at the end of the day, you didn't pick Professor Hulk, you should have picked Professor Hulk, because Professor Hulk would have been the right answer, because he's the one that, as your podcast says, is perfectly balanced, as all things should be, with the Hulk and Bruce Banner. That's who you should have chose. Well, I mean, Black Widow. I think Black Widow, obviously, you're going to ding me because you guys are going to come back at me because Black Widow has a crappy past. And sure, I will give you that. She really does. But at the end of the day, Peter wouldn't have had the chance to stab Green Goblin if she didn't sacrifice herself for the Soul Stone. And is it the Soul Stone? You guys could correct me if I'm wrong.
It was a Soul Stone.
Stone, in order to have that final end game. She eventually proved her worth to wield the hammer, just as Steve Rogers did at the end as well.
So the one argument I would make is, well, first I would say, Mike, your argument, if I were adjudicating, your argument right there would be enough to win because it was brilliant. That argument, those counterpoints were remarkable. Except for this one part. And that is that you're saying that Black Widow's redemption arc was completed with her sacrifice. So she'd only be worthy of wielding the hammer after she was dead. So therefore she can't wield the hammer because she's not worthy until she dies. So I will accept your semantic suggestion and say that Peter Parker is the most noble of the three choices that were given.
You're lucky and I made your argument better.
Therefore, I think it is ironclad.
All right, Robbie.
Pitch
me on Hulk being, or not Hulk, sorry, not Hulk. Banner being noble or worthy or whatever the current state of the argument is.
whatever the argument needs, right?
Yeah.
I think Bruce does what needs to be done only when it needs to be done, right? Bruce tries not to bring out the Hulk because he knows the Hulk brings destruction. Like, he brings out the Hulk when necessary. Bruce Banner would only need to use Mjolnir when necessary. The necessity is what it gets down to for me. Bruce Banner is a good man. Obviously made Professor Hulk, which Professor Hulk might have been a good answer, but Professor Hulk creeps me the frick out. So I'm not a big fan of Professor Hulk. Professor Hulk to me is just Bruce Banner in the Hulk's body, right? So you take all the good that you can out of Professor Hulk and you have the same guy. He's just not handing tiny tacos to Ant-Man. Bruce Banner is good. He is worthy, and he is willing to do what he must. And that's why he wields Mjolnir. Black Widow, like you said, can't wield Mjolnir because she's dead. Peter Parker, even after learning all these things, tried to kill Green Goblin. Even after all the big things came out, still had so much anger in him that, like, his go-to, he needed Toby, the real Spider-Man #1, to stop him from killing Green Goblin. Otherwise,
Green Goblin killed his mom.
She killed Aunt May.
That's his mom.
I know we want to call Aunt May mommy, but he
Yes,
killed Aunt May.
Martha?
Oh, clip it. Jeez Louise. All right.
This is a family-friendly podcast.
Not anymore, I guess.
You can't point to a point where Bruce Banner has had that sort of situation.
Okay. I think I'm ready to call it. You guys made fantastic points. I'm going to have to give it to Cicero. He just, man, you sold me on Peter Parker so well. I get what you guys are saying about the other ones. It's hard to divorce some of the things that Bruce Banner has done in the name of science that are pretty rough.
Is that in the MCU? Where's that in the MCU?
Absolutely. He created Ultron.
He helped create Ultron. He was working with Tony.
Yeah.
That was mostly Tony's fault, I think.
And then, it was compelling with Natasha. You had me all there. And then you kept bringing it back to the movie and her penance. And all I was thinking was, she never went back to look for her sister the entire time. And I'm like, man, that's not where it's at. I get what you guys are saying with Peter about Green Goblin. And I think, again, his point's more to naivety than it does not being worthy. So I have to give it to Cicero. Well done, my man.
You suck. No, I'm just
You're the worst.
You're a homer.
I'm going to kick it to this
Flip,
one.
flip.
Hopefully, I'm looking at the outline now. Isaac did prepare you guys for this one, which is good. We're going to start out in reverse order here. We're going to give this one to Mike first. Mike, if you had the choice to produce a show or movie with any unused Marvel character or team, who deserves the shot?
So I want some clarification on this, because Patrick Stewart was in Doctor Strange, the trailer. So are we negating the X-Men? Because obviously it's kind of quote unquote already in.
I can't tell if you're arguing yourself in or out of the X-Men. If you're asking me if I'll allow it, I will allow the X-Men. If you're going to make that argument.
I'm not doing the X-Men.
Okay. Nothing.
No, it's not for
Sure.
nothing because what I'm getting at is that there's obviously conjecture and obviously foreshadowing of many characters that should be coming to the MCU.
I will allow characters that are rumored. I will allow characters that are potentially already in it. We just don't know yet.
So the answer is Silver Surfer. I really think that the Silver Surfer needs to come into the MCU, and maybe it's further down the road, certainly, because I believe, and you guys are MCU guys over here at the Infinity Bros, so you guys are probably sitting on your laurels that Galactus will eventually show up in the MCU. I mean, it's written on the walls with the Fox deal and everything. And Silver Surfer, obviously the mercenary of Galactus, the person who carries out Galactus's will. I think Silver Surfer will prove to be one of those very intriguing and important plot points in the future of the MCU. And I really love the character. I have issues 1 and 2 of Silver Surfer, the originals. I love those comics. And I think he could really be a bright spot in what is going to be the multiverse future of the MCU.
Interesting. Okay. Robbie, who do you think, what team or character deserves a shot in the MCU?
I want to preface this. This episode was not for me. I am a DC guy.
Yeah.
I know just enough about Marvel to get by on this podcast.
Of all the people we could have picked for this, we threw
It's
you in the
really not
the
great
den.
that we picked me.
Yeah.
Especially for this one, because now I have to go outside the MCU. And I don't know enough to defend really, really well. However, I think what the MCU needs is a Superman type character. So I'm going to say Sentry.
Wow. Okay.
So I would love.
I don't even
For
know what this
Sentry.
character is.
I do, and I don't know if Robbie did this on purpose. I love this character.
I don't know a ton about Sentry, but I know enough to know that he's nearly, and correct me if I'm wrong, but a Superman, he's just Superman for MCU. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he's as powered by the sun just as much as Superman is, has all the strength and speed that Superman supposedly has. If I'm wrong, go ahead and tell me.
There's an interesting pivot you can take to this, and I'll see if you catch it in a minute.
I 100% am not going to catch it.
He's powerful guy.
Yeah.
He's very, very powerful.
Okay. Cicero, what do you got for me, man?
So I guess I really stuck to the whole team aspect of this. So I was thinking of what teams haven't been added to the MCU that we can add to the MCU, and the team that stuck in my head,
The Suicide
Power
Squad.
Pack.
No, I'm just kidding.
right?
What did you say? Sorry, I didn't catch it.
Power Pack.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Power Pack.
Interesting.
So, Power Pack is a group of siblings that are they have superpowered parents that are named Powers, right? Because Imagineering,
creativity.
in Marvel. But my version of Power Pack will include the child of Mr. Fantastic and the Invisible Woman, Sue and Reed Richards, Franklin Richards, Tattletale. So so that would be the version. I think that would make a great television series, or movie to have, or like Mike alluded to, like the whole CW thing. Robbie is a DC guy, so I'm sure he was watching the CW for all the DC Arrowverse shows
At one point,
right? Yeah, so like what Disney doesn't have, what Disney Plus doesn't really have, and they've done it a couple of times with Cloak and Dagger, and what was the other show with they
did Runaways
with Runaways, right? Is a teenage superhero show. It's a show with like teenagers with powers and kind of dealing with the day-to-day lives, but also dealing with superhuman threats. And that would make for a great show with characters that we know.
Robbie, rebuttal to this.
The Sentry's real name is Robert Reynolds, so it's my name plus Ryan Reynolds' last name.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's a win in itself.
That's it, guys. We got to call it.
Powers. I just feel like it'd be cool to see this guy on the screen. I feel like you make a movie kind of like how DC did with Shazam. You just make it Sentry, and I think it'd be really cool.
Okay, Michael,
I don't have a good argument to that.
I mean, Robbie's whole argument is that you need to bring a Superman into the MCU, but basically you have that in Captain America. Like, it's really, Superman is like that symbol of hope that you really need, and Captain America was all that in all of the MCU so far.
Well, he's gone, so we need a new Superman.
We need a new soup,
but an actual Superman who can actually do some real good.
No, I mean, just Silver Surfer just makes the most sense out of all of that we've said. I mean, you gotta even think of going back to Loki, right? And the show that I know a lot of you liked, I didn't. But regardless, it introduced Kang. It introduced a version of Kang. And Kang, a version in one of the multiverses, actually takes Galactus out. He kills him, and he becomes that source of power that Galactus was. And then that version of Kang actually goes throughout every single other multiverse and tries to kill every other version of Galactus. And that's where Silver Surfer easily comes in. He is part of that universe, and it's just going to, first of all of your guys' stuff, your arguments are nothing compared to my inevitable one. This one is going to happen. I just have this huge feeling. I mean, you're introducing the Fantastic Four eventually. Silver Surfer is just going to make the most sense out of either of these. I mean, we already got Cap, and what did you say? The A-Team? Is that what you just said? I mean, I pity the fool. I pity the fool who does not want Silver Surfer in the MCU.
A 5-year-old Mr. T with superpowers. I'm here for it.
There you go.
Dang it! You just made Cicero's case. I would love to see Power Pack meets the A-Team.
Well, if you
all right, go ahead, Cicero. What do you got? What do you got for me?
They're going to be shooting all their powers, and then the A-Team's van is going to jump and turn over, and nobody's going to die. Look, Silver Surfer would be cool. But it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen because the next Guardians movie, why wouldn't there be a Silver Surfer in the next Guardians movie? If he was going to show up anywhere, I think that he would be anywhere in the MCU right now, Silver Surfer would show up in the Guardians of the Galaxy because they're out in space anyway. But to that point, it won't be his own show. He'll just appear on somebody else's show. He'll just be doing guest appearances, baby. He's just a guest star. He's not, he's not at the top of the marquee. And that's what you want. You want some top of the marquee people. And that is where we can live, is that niche that's not being explored right now. That teenage, angsty, right? Like preteen to teenage bar.
You know, Miss Marvel's coming out, right?
The young adult, but she's by herself as a team, right? A whole dynamic, a whole family. That's the portion of it that's not being explored. Yeah, we're getting Miss Marvel, but that's it. We need more than just one YA show, and that's where Power Pack comes in.
I mean, but you say top of the marquee, sure, whatever. But like Silver Surfer has top billing story written to him as well. Like this man's family was taken from him and he's working as an enslaved mercenary for Galactus. Like there is brilliant story to be had there. If it's in a movie, that's fine. I'm not sure Silver Surfer would work in a series, but you know, it could work. You never know. But one-off movie with Silver Surfer, and then he shows up in Avengers 17. You know, it's great.
Maybe you should just man up and fight Galactus. Sounds like a coward to me.
Robbie, I feel like
Sentry would
I feel
fight
like you
Galactus.
need the final word here. What do you got for me to pitch me on? What if
Power guy?
Like
you know
Superman?
what? The theater,
Invincible Man.
You know what the theaters need more of?
Yeah,
They need more
Please.
really, really strong white men in leading roles.
That is true.
That's what they need more of.
Right.
You know who's underrepresented in Hollywood? Oh my god.
Sentry, pick me.
I can't with you.
I mean,
Robbie, stop. Okay, I gotta call it. It's a bloodbath. Mike, you sold me, man. Like,
I didn't win. Dang it.
No, not even close. I would love to see Power Pack. I feel like you have so much to explain for that, but Power Pack would be sweet. Franklin Richards would lead us into something like Future Foundation, which I'm 100% here for.
yes.
I love all that. I think the argument for bringing Norrin Rad in makes more sense right now. I think it was very compelling. And Robbie, you buried the lead man. The best thing about Sentry is he's Superman with the mental capacity of an eggshell. This man has the most fragile emotional state in the world. And when he snaps, he turns into the Void.
That
He's
sounds
one
really
of the
neat.
most compelling characters in the MCU, and you buried the lead man.
I should read about that guy.
Yeah, you should. He's
Right.
fantastic. He's like the most mentally unstable version.
Robbie's argument sounded like he saw a Sentry realtor like ad.
Robbie wants to change his argument to your argument.
It was
so he can win.
dude, you had me right at the beginning. I was like, oh my gosh, he's gonna talk about Sentry and the Void, and like,
Dude.
like, yeah, he's Superman, I guess.
If I knew anything more, like now you tell me that, now I'm like
He's
way
fantastic.
more.
He's a
I'm
great
way more
character.
interested. So basically, what you're saying is he's kind of how we compare Batman to Moon Knight. Is that what you're saying right
Yes,
now?
yeah, he's Superman's Moon
He's
Knight.
the same
absolutely.
jokes that we make for Batman and Moon Knight.
Yeah.
Okay. So Marvel is just like, let me copy this, but let me also make them mentally unstable.
He's he's got deeply, deeply crippling emotional damage.
I'm all right for that because I have that too.
I love this. This is our blind pick, although we already had one, so this is round 2 blind pick.
Whoa. Okay.
We're going to start with Robbie to finish this one out. Robbie, who's taken up the mantle of Black Panther? Or rather, who should take up the mantle of Black Panther?
That's really hard just to answer without any
I know.
preconceived notion that we were going to get that question.
This one is courtesy of Mark, I believe, who tossed me
And
this.
so we're talking like
I'm ready. This one's heavy hitting.
we're talking that are in the movies right now, probably, right?
Correct.
Mm,
An existing character. Or I will allow the argument, recast him.
Oh,
Whether I like that argument or not remains to be seen, but I will allow you to make that argument to me.
is Killmonger still dead?
You tell me.
I don't know. You threw this on me, and I'm offended.
Do you need me to circle back around?
No. The
Okay.
easy answer, and the one that I think is the easiest to defend would be Shuri.
Okay.
I think it makes the most sense. She's battle tested. She's also very, very smart. She can take on the mantle of Black Panther, and I think Marvel as a company would love for that to be the route that they go. That would be my pick for them to go. I think Shuri makes the most sense.
Okay.
So I'm going to say Shuri.
Mike, what do you got for me?
Absolutely nothing, because that was my answer. I think it's. I refuse to argue recasting because he should not be. I'm sorry.
Agreed.
If you disagree with me, I think M'Baku. M'Baku should take up the mantle of Black Panther. Going back to my original argument with Black Widow in the first one, I think he showed his worthiness of the mantle in the end of Black Panther, where he decides to take his team, who he did not believe or who he did not want to be in this fight, and he takes that team and brings them to the final battle. So I think M'Baku shows great leadership and good warrior. I think it could work. Plus, whoever that actor is, he's really good. I like him.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. Sister, what do you got for me, man?
Winston Duke is his name.
Winston Duke.
Yeah, Winston Duke is a house.
Man, you guys are supposed to take one of my two answers, so I could take my one answer. But then you threw down a gauntlet, and so I almost want to accept the challenge
to argue recasting?
Of arguing recasting.
Tony Stark.
Right.
Tony Stark built Black Panther in a cave.
Because what we need is more white men. The Black Panther should be
white.
Right.
We're gonna stop this now.
Please don't.
Right.
Please.
Jeff Goldblum. Right.
Okay, hold on.
I'm Black Panther. I'm gonna get you.
Wow.
Wakanda forever. Right.
Yes. 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 Oh, so that's a cat, huh? Yeah.
Cicero, you just won. Like, there it is.
There it is.
Be quiet, colonizer.
Apartments.com Wakanda edition.
Wakanda, right? Oh man. All right. So serious answer time.
Yeah.
Serious answer time is no one's ever really dead in comics.
Mm-hmm.
So Killmonger is alive, right? What we saw him crumple over in T'Challa's arms while they watched the sun set. He passed out. He was dehydrated, blood loss. He got an infusion, and here's why Killmonger is the guy, right? Because he had an argument that wasn't completely villainous, right? His argument made a lot of sense, and in fact, it made so much sense that it compelled the hero to incorporate some of his ideas in how Wakanda operated in the rest of the world. So you bring back Killmonger, right? You bring back Eric, and you let Eric take the mantle that is his blood right and become the new Black Panther. He clearly has the skills to be the Black Panther, and he now has accumulated the knowledge, the experience, and has had the opportunity to learn where he was wrong, but also has had the privilege of seeing that his cousin realized where Eric was right. And with that grace, he can use that compassion for the rest of the world to help him be the best Black Panther that we could get going forward.
Mike, what do you got for me?
Oh man. I mean, I think M'Baku lived the culture. I think you need a leader who is embedded in the culture 100% of the time. And yeah, obviously, you know, T'Challa was kind of more in the obviously the ritzier area of Wakanda and stuff like that. But regardless, it's M'Baku is there. He has lived there his entire life. He understands the culture, the country, just what the Black Panther stands for and what the Black Panther means to this people group. And so I think he's a better suited fit than Killmonger. I really want to hear Robbie's argument because I don't know if I have an argument against Shuri. So I think Robbie just has to convince you, to be honest.
Shuri is the right answer because Cicero was talking about blood right. She's literally the princess, for one. Like that right there already gives you the in that I think I need. Plus, she's battle tested. I talked about that at the beginning. She's also the chief of scientific research for Wakanda. So she is obviously, like Mike was saying, for oh gosh, I don't want to butcher his name. M'Baku. She's living this life, and she's never lived anything besides this life. Obviously, she is living the ritzier side of Wakanda. M'Baku is a little bit on the rougher side, so there's a difference there. But I think Shuri knows the ins and outs and is obviously involved so much in that Wakandan world that her, picking up the mantle and carrying it forward like her brother did is the obvious right choice. Now I like Killmonger. I think Killmonger had some really good points, but we know that Killmonger's end goal was to take Wakanda versus everybody, which is not what the Black Panther is supposed to be doing. So that's why I think Shuri is the best choice.
Well, gentlemen, I think you guys have done a really great job of making my job a lot easier. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. So I will say, to Mike's point about M'Baku being just engrossed in the like the culture of the Wakandan culture and really being well versed in it, and that will make him a great Black Panther. We're not talking about who should be the leader of the Wakandans. We're talking about who should have the mantle of the Black Panther. And while the Wakandans it's a country, their foreign policy, of which the Black Panther is probably the face of their foreign policy, right? Because he is their force for good. Is more an international role, and there's no one of the three people that we've mentioned who has more experience dealing with the rest of the world than Eric Killmonger. And in fact, one could argue that the Black Panther is not just the protector of Wakanda, but he is the protector of the African diaspora around the world. And if there is any of the three of them that understands that mantle and understands that responsibility better than Eric Killmonger, I don't know who it is, right? Because the answer is it's none of those people. He understands that better than anyone. That was his mission. And to Robbie's point, what he learned, he went to Wakanda with the mission that you had, which is we're going to go out and we're going to lash out at our oppressors, around the world. And what he learned from T'Challa when he left Wakanda, or at the end of his days when he was seeing the sunrise in Wakanda, was that part of his mission was righteous and just. But the part of exacting vengeance on the oppressors was not the right path. So understanding that you have power, right? Understanding that you have power, but being able to use diplomacy and not wield that power is even more power. And that is something that I think Killmonger was starting to understand at the end of his days.
Let's go, Robbie, and then Mike, you can finish it out.
Shuri already understands that. You see at the end of Black Panther where she's already opening up the technology connections with the rest of the world. Like she's open to that.
Right.
And
but
whoever
she needs to
takes
be
on
the guy in the chair.
whoever takes on the Black Panther mantle becomes a leader of Wakanda. That's how it works. So they need to know how
not
to
necessarily.
lead. No,
Not necessarily because
that's how it works.
Because T'Chaka was still the king of Wakanda, while T'Challa had the mantle of the Black Panther.
With the understanding that he would eventually become the Black Panther and the leader.
Yeah, he was the heir apparent.
And the next heir apparent is
it would be the next. It'd be the next male. It'd be the next male heir. The next male heir, which is Eric Killmonger, because he's been resuscitated.
All right, bring me home, Mike.
First of all, I lost our first argument because Black Widow is dead. So is Killmonger. So there's one. Two.
Brought it back.
Two. With great power comes great delegation. M'Baku will just get an entourage around him and he will delegate the ins and outs of foreign policies to them. He doesn't need to worry about that. He needs to focus on his people while the other trusted advisors. This is not a Job situation. Yeah, it's a Bible reference. Sorry.
Yeah, I can trust people that don't know what they're doing.
We are Christians here.
Yeah. But here's the thing. M'Baku could be the Black Panther, and he's got Robbie Shuri on the side. Like, he's got an entourage of people around him that will completely help him succeed in the Black Panther role, and that way he could focus on Wakanda as well as have, the final say in some of these foreign policies, foreign things. And Killmonger's dead, so just stop it.
Run back to life.
All right. Wow. This is the tightest one yet. I will say it's hard for me to say hard no to any of these. I like what you were saying about Killmonger. I kind of suspension of disbelief a little bit. I was like, he died in the most technologically advanced society in the world, so there's potential he could be alive. Ultimately, though, I had to give it to Shuri. I think you guys made a lot of good points about how it has to be who understands both cultures, which Killmonger understands both cultures better than Baku. And Shuri, obviously, we saw she dipped her toes in both. She had all these pop culture references that she was spitting at Black Panther the whole time. Very compelling, Robbie. I liked what you guys all had to say. That one was probably the hardest yet, but I had to give it to Shuri.
Thanks for giving me the layup on the first choice. I appreciate that.
It makes it, look, everybody else got to go first. I figured I'd give you one, especially the one that I threw you guys off guard.
I feel like M'Baku would be
been
hilarious as a leader, though. I just want to point that out.
I would love it so much. So thank you guys so much for joining us for this special edition of the Infinity Bros. We rocked the Test Your Might. We had two very special guests. I'm going to give them a chance to plug themselves here. Gentlemen, where can everybody find you?
Yeah, so me and Cicero, you can find us both at the 90s First on Twitter and all podcasting platforms, YouTube channel as well. YouTube, we don't have a custom link yet, so just search the 90s First and you can pull us up there. That's where we do movie, TV reviews, but what Cicero is on majority of the time is Test Your Might, which is our video game debate show. We take the current news happening in video games and we create debate topics and we debate them. Have a lot of fun over there. A lot of the shenanigans that you heard tonight, it happens every single week, but just with video games. And then you can find me specifically at Stay at Home Gamer on Twitter. The O in home is a 0.
Cicero, what about you, bud?
You can find myself every week. I think Tuesdays is when we publish for Test Your Might every week with those guys. But you can also find me on all social media platforms at Stubby Stan, STUBBYSTAN. Not only am I doing Test Your Might, but I'm doing a bunch of other podcasts.
Love that.
So if you're interested in video games or Star Trek or pop culture or movies,
Look,
or
man,
comics,
you might be barking up the wrong tree. I don't know if our audience is into that stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, thank you
check
so
that
much.
out there.
Check out Cicero. Check out Mike. Check out Robbie, I guess, if you want. Thank you guys so much for joining me. To our fans at home, if you want to check us out as well, go to theinfinitybros.com. All our links are there. Listen to us wherever you find your podcast. If you get the itch to Twitch, check us out. We're doing near daily streams now. We have very few days that we're not rocking it. So make sure you swing by there as well. Thank you so much for listening. We love you guys 3000. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Infinity Bros podcast. You can find the Infinity Bros on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at the Infinity Bros. Feel free to send listener feedback via email at infinitybrospodcast@gmail.com.